Your parents bought a house at 25 on a single income. You have 2 degrees, 2 jobs, and you still can't afford a down payment. And somehow you're the one being called lazy. Today, I'm going to show you the real numbers behind why millennials are broke. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll never blame yourself again. We're going to cover 3 things today. First, the wealth gap that nobody talks about. Second, the 3 financial traps that were set for millennials before they even graduated. And third, and this one is the most important, what you can actually do about it. I'm saving that for the end, so stay with me. If you're new here, welcome. This channel is about making finance make sense. No fluff, just facts. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with a number that honestly shocked me when I first saw it. According to the UBS Global Wealth Report 2025, baby boomers hold $83.3 trillion in wealth. Millennials and Gen Z combined, just $17.1 trillion. That's only 10.5% of all U.S. household wealth for the largest generation in American history. But wait, it gets worse. When boomers were the same age millennials are today, they controlled 21% of U.S. wealth. Millennials today, 4.6%, same age. Less than a quarter of the wealth. And the media's response: maybe stop buying avocado toast. We're going to get into why this happened, because it wasn't avocado toast. The real reason is actually 3 systemic traps, and the first one hit millennials before they even walked across a graduation stage. Trap number 1 is student debt, and here's the deal. Your parents were told to go to college. You were told to go to college. You were told to go to college. But here's what nobody told you. Tuition costs tripled in the last 15 years. According to New America's research, overall student debt in the U.S. has tripled over the past decade and a half. The result is that the average millennial is carrying $59,000 in personal debt, while the average boomer at the same age had a median debt of $60,000, but also had a median wealth of $112,000. Millennials today have a median debt of $128,000 with nowhere near that level of wealth to show for it. You were sold a degree with a price tag that no salary could justify. That's not a personal failure. That's a broken system. But that's just trap number 1. Trap 2 is where things get even more unfair. Trap number 2, the housing crisis, 5 to 630, visual. Animation showing home price to income ratio change. Trap number 2 is the housing market. In 1990, a home cost roughly 3 times someone's annual income. Today, with the average millennial salary at around $71,000, the average U.S. home price sits at $450,000. That's over 6 times your salary. The ratio doubled in 1 generation, and rents aren't any better. From 2020 to 2024 alone, typical U.S. apartment rents climbed by nearly 29%, while median household income grew by just 22.5% over the same period. Your rent is outpacing your raise every single year. Homeownership, the very thing boomers used to build generational wealth, is getting further out of reach, not closer. This isn't a lifestyle choice. This is math. Now, trap number 3 is the sneakiest of all because it hides in your paycheck. Trap number 3, stagnant wages, 630 to 830, visual. Wage growth versus inflation chart. Trap number 3 is that your paycheck hasn't kept up. The federal minimum wage has been $7.25 an hour for 16 years. Adjusted for inflation, it should be $10 to $11 an NBA. Hour to day. That's money that was quietly taken from an entire generation. And even for college graduates, a 2025 Deloitte survey of over 23,000 workers found that 46% of millennials feel financially insecure, up from 32% just 1 year earlier. That's not a feeling. That's a 43% increase in financial anxiety in 12 months. Meanwhile, wages and job postings grew just 2.5% year over year, while inflation kept running hot. You're working harder, earning more, and falling further behind. That is the definition of a rigged game. And I want to be very clear about something here. This is not about politics, And it's not about politics, and it's not about blaming one generation. This is about understanding the system so you can work within it and around it strategically. Now, this is the part I promised you. Because yes, the system is broken, but there are real moves you can make right now. Let me give you 3. Move 1 is to stop saving and start investing. Your savings account is actually making you poor. With inflation running at 3 to 4% and your savings account paying 0.5%, you're losing purchasing power every single month. The wealthy don't save their way to wealth, they invest. If you put $500 a month into an index fund at a 7% average annual return, in 30 years, you have over $600,000. That same $500 sitting in a savings account gives you maybe $180,000. The gap between those two numbers is the wealth gap. Start investing, even small, because today always beats tomorrow. Move 2 is housing. Hacking. And if you've never heard of it, pay attention. If you can't afford to buy a traditional home, consider buying a duplex or a small multi-unit property instead. You live in one unit and rent out the other. Your tenant essentially pays your mortgage. It's not glamorous, but it's how a lot of millennials are actually getting into the housing market when traditional homeownership feels impossible. It turns what would be an expense into an income-generating asset. Move 3 and this one. Changes everything is building multiple income streams. One income stream is a liability in 2025. The economy your parents operated in rewarded loyalty to one company. That economy is gone. Whether it's freelancing, a side business, content creation, or dividend investing, you need income that doesn't stop when your employer decides to cut costs. The goal isn't to work 80 hours a week. The goal is to build something that pays you whether you're working or not. That's not hustle culture. That's financial survival in this economy. So let's bring it all together. Millennials aren't broke because of lattes or laziness. They're broke because they inherited a 2025 economy with 1980s financial advice. Student debt tripled. Home prices doubled relative to income. Wages flatlined. And through all of that, 46% of millennials are still trying, still saving, still investing, still figuring it out. If that's you, you're not behind. You're just playing a harder game than the generation before you. And knowing the rules, that's how you start to win it. If this video hit different, drop a comment below and tell me what's the #1 financial challenge you're facing right now, because next week I'm covering the exact investment strategy for people starting with under $1,000. And trust me, you don't want to miss that one. That video is right here. Go watch it next.